Am I the butthole for kicking my mom out of my house because of how she reacted to her partner, not like my wife's chili? My mom and I have just come off of a 3-year estrangement. She and my wife hated each other from day one, just really clashed, and my mom was going through some stuff in her personal life and acting out. We mutually agreed it wasn't fixable and we should go our separate ways. I recently reconnected with her at a party and told her that I wanted to try and fix things. My wife supported this. My mom is with someone I'll call Rob. I'm pretty sure they are engaged, but to be honest, not 100% sure. We've seen my mom a couple of times since reconnecting and I can tell she is really trying. She seems extremely anxious and too nervous to talk, so we are taking it really slow, but I do believe that is her trying. Recently we invited my mom and Rob over. My wife was making chili in the crockpot and it was done, but we weren't ready to eat. She had some tortilla chips and said that she likes dipping them in the chili and invited them to have some while we waited. Rob took some and gagged. I don't think he did it on purpose and he seemed embarrassed, but my wife's chili is very sweet. She uses maple syrup, chocolate powder, cinnamon, and brown sugar. My mom laughed, which upset my wife because has always been smug about not thinking my wife is a good cook. I could see my wife getting annoyed and snapping at my mom. Rob looked kind of ill and excused himself. My mom stood there for a minute in silence and then bolted after him and started banging on the bathroom door and demanding to be let in. He was ignoring her and she started freaking out and said she wanted to be hugged. She has some anxiety and PTSD related stuff and he is her comfort person. Just as I got to the door to tell her to stop banging, Rob let her in and I heard their conversation. Rob was saying they had to get out of here because he can't eat that chili. My mom was kind of teasing him about, "Oh, you didn't like it," and telling him she served it with rice with raisins and sugar and a chocolate sauce, a lie, and he said it tasted like dog food with sugar and he was going to have nightmares. I saw red and my mom was laughing. It just brought me back to how smug she used to be and how she looked down on us. When they came out, I told her to leave. My mom got really quiet again and said it was creepy that I was standing outside of the bathroom door. She said she's been trying and she feels I'm looking for reasons to hate her. I told her to just go because I was too emotional to talk to her. She left willingly, but Rob told me I can't just nitpick and kick her out and then think she is going to want to continue to put work into this relationship.
All I got from this is the most jacked up chili recipe ever. Am I the butthole for refusing to babysit my stepdaughter so my husband can attend his brother's wedding? This story is a little complicated, so I'll try and sum it up. I and my husband have been married for 5 years. 3 years ago, he had an affair with Jane. We are part of a large friend group and Jane is a part of that friend group. Their affair lasted a few months and then ended when he came to me to tell me that she was pregnant. She wanted to keep the baby, but he was sorry and wanted things to work between us. After a short separation, and a lot of counseling, I decided to give him a second chance under 2 conditions. 1. We attend couples counseling, and 2. He be part of his daughter's life. It was difficult, but we managed to find a co-parenting situation that worked best for us. However, it required a lot of sacrifice on my part. Jane was adamant she wanted to continue her career, and therefore needed childcare from when the baby was a few weeks old. She was nervous about daycare, so my husband said that I would have to give up my job to take care of her, as I made the least money between us. We have her 1 week, Jane has her the next, so I'm basically a full-time stepmom 1 week and a babysitter the next. The second, and probably biggest sacrifice is that my husband has only ever wanted 1 kid. This is it for him. He has said he would consider a second child, this time with me when his daughter is a little older, but it was important I accept that he might decide that he doesn't want another ever. As someone who has always wanted to be a mother, this was hard, but I have had the privilege of watching my stepdaughter grow and I wanted my marriage to work. A few months ago, my husband got invited to his brother's wedding. His brother is marrying Jane's best friend, and she is a bridesmaid, so they planned to attend together. Which would leave me taking care of my stepdaughter. Usually, this would be fine, as I love her very much, but the weekend of the wedding is also my birthday weekend, and my best friend had planned a trip away for us both. I told my husband at the time, and he assured me he would talk to Jane about alternative childcare. Fast forward to last night. My husband casually tells me that Jane isn't comfortable with anyone else looking after their daughter, so I will have to cancel my trip. The wedding is this weekend, so I told him there was no way I was letting my friend lose the money she spent on the trip. They had months to figure this out. I was going to attend my birthday trip and they would have to decide which one of them missed the wedding. My husband got angry and told me I was a butthole if I made him miss his brother's wedding because Jane had made it clear she was not compromising on attending. Things have been tense since, and I'm starting to wonder if I'm being selfish here. So am I the butthole? Not the butthole, but you are being so thoroughly disrespected in your marriage. You have been cheated on, forced to deal forever with your husband's affair partner, forced to give up your job, forced into giving up having children. What has your husband had to give up throughout this situation? A situation he caused when he couldn't keep his D in his trousers. You're 26. I'm saying this from a place of care. Please consider leaving him. Your life will not get better with this man. It will only get worse as he makes you cut off more pieces of yourself to fit into what he requires from you. That's not even getting into the age gap. Am I the butthole for refusing to give my ex-husband's girlfriend a part of the inheritance? I was married to a man for 16 years and we had a son. After my son was killed by a drunk driver, we couldn't support each other. We divorced 6 years ago. I moved to a different state and we haven't spoken since then. About a month ago I was not the butthole elected by the executor of his will and informed of his death. His latest will was written about a year ago. When I went I was informed that he left me everything, except for the $10,000 that he left to his girlfriend. They were together for 2 years and lived in the same house. Now his girlfriend is demanding that I surrender all of the inheritance to her. She says that I wasn't the one that was there for him when he was drowning in his grief, that I moved on while he was still feeling guilt over the death of our son. I have refused so far, but I still feel a bit guilty since I am planning to sell the house, our marital house. I couldn't bear to stay in it after our son's death, so she will have to look for housing. She can't afford to, she doesn't have a job. Also, I make a good living and own a house outright, inherited from my parents. So am I the butthole? Edit. Since this seems like a frequent question, I offered her to stay at the house free of charge for the next 6 months before I put it on the market. Also, I offered her a choice of whatever she wanted to take from my ex's personal effects and house furniture she wanted to take. That and the continued use of the car.
Not the butthole. He left her money but felt you deserved more. She had her inheritance. Don't give her a penny. He clearly had a reason to leave it to you. I am so sorry about your son.
Am I the asshole for ruining my work colleague's wedding and getting them arrested? I had 2 work colleagues, Mary and Adam, both in their late 20s, early 30s. Mary started in the company first and then she got Adam to join. They worked in different departments and Mary was in mine. Later, Mary left the company to pursue another career. When they started at the company, they were already married for a few years. Now Mary is the kindest and loveliest person I've ever met. She was always polite, helpful and would cheer anyone up. We missed her dearly, so it came as a shock when we found out she is divorcing Adam because he has cheated on her. I have called her to express how sorry I am that this has happened to her and we were talking almost daily ever since. I was impressed how well Mary holds herself in such a situation. She wouldn't badmouth Adam and the only thing she mentioned was how her wedding dress and a few family heirlooms went missing when she was moving her stuff from their apartment. She thought they might be misplaced in a different box and will turn up eventually. A few years passed. I now work in the same department as Adam. He is a good work colleague but can be dismissive and ignorant sometimes. Adam invited me to his wedding with the lady, Chelsea, he cheated on Mary with. As the entire department was invited, I said yes, making sure Mary is okay with this. I've also told her where the wedding will be. It's not too far from where she lives and we could go for some drinks after if she wanted to. On the day of Adam's wedding, I have noticed that Chelsea is wearing a similar dress that Mary wore in the photos of her and Adam's wedding years ago. So without thinking I have snapped a picture and sent it to Mary with the caption saying, "Doesn't this dress looks familiar?" Mary saw the message but she didn't respond and about an hour later the police showed up at the venue. I need to add the police in our country are ruthless and any theft is considered a criminal matter for the police to deal with. Police have asked Chelsea to take the dress and all the jewelry off. Chelsea refused and started arguing with them, and then Adam joined in. As they were rude to the police, they were taken to the police station. Everyone at the wedding had to leave. I have tried to call Mary but she wouldn't pick up the phone. As we found out later, Chelsea was wearing Mary's wedding dress and her heirlooms. Mary spotted them on her in the picture I sent to her and called the police. Apparently, she has previously asked Adam if he had them, and he declined, saying he never saw them. So after she saw the picture she knew he was lying and stole them. Chelsea had to leave the wedding dress and jewelry at the police station and go home wearing her underwear and Adam's jacket after they were bailed out. Yesterday Adam returned to the office and went completely mental at me, blaming me for sending a picture to Mary and ruining his wedding. He would also call me an asshole for what I did.
So Adam cheated on his wife, stole her wedding dress and heirloom jewelry, and then passed them on to his new fiancée who may or may not has known. All you did was alert the ex-wife. You didn't call the cops. She did because she knew the background of him stealing from her and lying about it. I think it's pretty clear that Adam's the asshole, and possibly the police for the very severe way they handled this. Not the asshole.